What's up? My name is Monica, and today I will be sharing with you the most tried and tested travel hacks that I've used and learned through the years of traveling. Now, I'm not saying I'm a travel guru, but I have been traveling quite a while. I'm the type of, I used to be a weekend warrior because I used to work in corporate, and for 6 years I have been doing a lot of these hacks that got me through. Alright, okay, before we get into the meat of the content, I just wanted to share that the most important thing that I learned through the years was just making sure that I always had the right attitude. People always tell me, oh, I can't travel, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have that. That's the problem. If you don't have a plan for it and if you don't have the right attitude for it, the problem will still be a problem and you'll forever be wishing. We have a saying in Filipino, kung may gusto, may paraan. Pag ayaw, may dahilan. There's always going to be a reason. But if there's a will, there's always going to be a way. Right? Right. I always have a systematic approach to things. When people come to focus on budget, you always have to consider three things. And at least this is for me. Budgeting money, budgeting time, and budgeting effort or comfort. All of these things will come into play with the areas that I will be breaking down. So we're going to make it easy for you. Let's say you just want to just start traveling now. So I mentioned earlier, if there's a will, there's a way. Yes. And a part of that is always making sure that you have a plan. I live by the mantra, failure to plan is planning to fail. Now, why is this important? Because you're budgeting time. I used to work in corporate, and for 6 years, I consistently did the same thing every year. Hack number one. So this is hack number one. How do I do this? Okay, hack number one, okay, is to plan ahead of time. I would get all of the non-working holidays of the year and plot it out on a calendar. Okay, because when you're working in corporate, you only have a set number of days, to travel. Before was to, as I mentioned, plot out the whole year and throw in those vacation leaves around those holidays, especially if they were close to a weekend. So, for example, there was a non-working holiday on a Thursday. I throw in a vacation leave on a Friday, maybe a Wednesday, Friday, even a Monday, just to make sure I get to maximize my travel time. At least you can plot it out that you are traveling on these particular days because those are the peak seasons or off seasons, whichever you choose. It's important that you have that plan. Okay, so that's hack number one. Hack number two. When you're booking transportation ahead of time, airlines can be a bit, tricky. So when it comes to booking flights, it depends on what's available to you. If you want to wait for the promo fares, by all means go for that because that's the cheapest. But let's say you don't want to wait for the promo fares, you have a particular flight that you really need to book already. There are some tips that are available online, and I'm just gonna throw it in here just because. So there is a sweet spot per airline. Sometimes you can just book just at the right time, a few weeks or maybe a month ahead of time, because the closer you are to the flight date, the more expensive the flight becomes, right? So there is a sweet spot when booking, the normal way. Now, if let's say you are waiting for those promo fares, whether it's a particular airline that you always go to, always automate. That's hack number two. What am I saying? Okay, let's say you are on social media a lot, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, websites or emails. Getting these notifications ahead of the crowd is amazing. Getting the tickets when they are already on sale. Okay, the only tricky thing about seat sales is that you only have a buy period and then you have the flight dates, and those flight dates might not coincide with what you've had planned, or maybe it does, and that would be amazing. So that's the reason why it's important to plan ahead of time. Another thing is that there are certain airlines that have affiliation. So always do your research. Some airlines have an affiliated credit card. Most of the time they do get emails ahead of the actual promo fare. So let's say there's a seat sale today, right? Those people with a particular credit card affiliated to that airline often get a notification 30 minutes before midnight to get that seat sale. So they have like they get on Facebook, you have that option to see the see first option on the news feed. This helps a lot because at least you get notified when you're just browsing. You can also get notifications through email and also through the websites, so through particular websites itself. And because I had the email notification that seat sale was only applicable for mobile booking. And that's the reason why I got it. And I didn't see that announcement anywhere else. Hack number 3. When you're booking flights, do try carry-on. It depends on how long you're flying anyway. So if let's say it's just for the weekend, travel light. Everything can be done on carry-on. But do take note, there are some airlines that already include a 20 kilo check-in baggage. Yeah, some airlines do that for free, so it shouldn't be an issue. So you already have your travel dates, you already book your flight. What happens next, right? For me, the most important thing is first step number 3 is creating an itinerary. It's a general itinerary. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but it's important because you need to get from point A to point B. If you're on a budget, you don't want to waste time looking for, let's say, the train, looking for the bus. If you already know where to go, what to do, once you land, then that makes it easier. If let's say you can also save money if let's say your accommodations has, free pickup and drop off option. You're traveling abroad. Depending on the power of your passport, you may or may not need to apply for visas ahead of time. And you have to factor that into your general itinerary. Why do I say that? Let's say traveling to Australia, it's no choice. You have to apply for that visa 30 days in advance, okay? Because you also need time to get all the requirements needed. Fill out the forms, submit it. Some visas require you to show up in person, so that needs to be incorporated. A bit tricky is also if it's a group. You can't help it. Accommodation is usually the next most expensive thing. Now, there are so many options now that I wish I had when I was, traveling earlier. Make friends and check out, what homestay I could go to that wasn't on the internet. Because do note, there are a lot of things that aren't on the internet that will probably and definitely be cheaper. But if you have the luxury of time to actually go do that. If not, this is the next best thing. So, depending on your budget and your travel style, your comfort level, and your privacy level, you can look for places that will offer even probably from the cheapest. How do you get to that? There are websites or apps like Couchsurfing where you can actually get accommodation for free. The only drawback to Couchsurfing is that you have to understand these are people who are offering their time and their space, and it's not like a hotel where you can demand. So you cannot just message them and then they'll respond right away. But others don't. The option for accommodation, budget accommodation, is hostels, right? What's nice here is that you can stay in a hostel for a few days, and then if let's say you do plan to stay long term in that place, while you're staying in the hostel, you can actually check around and look for accommodations, apartments for rent that will be cheaper. And then one of the last options that I would like to suggest would be also pods. So in Japan, they have that. In the Maldives, they have that. Where else? I don't know where else they have these sleeping pods, but there are options like that. If let's say you need to get a room for your group or your family when you're traveling abroad, do take note and do your research because some rooms are good for, it says one room, but it's good for 3-4 people, right? There are rooms that are good for 10 people. And you don't mind doing a little work in exchange of accommodations or food, you can try Workaway or World Packers. And there were 3 more other websites that weren't as popular as the first 2 that I mentioned. Basically, I spent 3 nights only for accommodation, and that's basically it for the whole month. mean, that's not bad. Anyway, number 8. Okay. So food is very important, but other than food, the one most important thing that I just need to share that you have to always do, always. So please do this is to bring your own water bottle. I understand it's just easier to buy a plastic bottle of water anywhere you go and then just chuck it. But number 1, you get to save money when you have a refillable container. Number 2, it's less waste. Plastic goes nowhere, and depending on the country you go to, not all of them recycle plastic bottles the way they should, right? They just get thrown out. So it's good for you because you get refillable water. It's good for the environment, and it's good for your wallet. You just save money, right? So that's a no-brainer. And just as an add-on, because I have this environmental thing going on, just make sure if you're into using straws, get a reusable one, you know? It's just better for the environment. Whether it's a stainless steel straw, silicone, bamboo straw, or maybe not using a straw at all, please do. Okay? So looking at convenience stores for food is a good option. Going to supermarkets, especially if, so example, in Japan, you can get the same packaged foods you get at restaurants on a discount, you know, especially because they like to make things fresh at the end of the day around 5 6, they put stickers on it with discounted prices. And also look for student, you know, places where students go. Why? It's just cheaper, period. Street food is also a good option, but you have to be a bit careful when it comes to street food. So they might not have the best hygienic practices, and if you're a bit more sensitive, and then you just have to be more careful. But there are places that are really good. There's a really good street food. They're really cheap as well. So totally depends on you. Another thing is that if let's say you're staying in a hostel, buying, you know, so other than the supermarket food, you also can make your own food, you know, especially if you have food allergies. At least you know what goes inside. And that's that. Okay, so one of the last tips that I want to do when it comes to food is, yeah, please just bring your own snacks. It's just cheaper. It could be just nuts. It could be some dried fruit. Could be water. Could be chips. Whatever it is. Could be instant noodles. Just get that outside of the airport because anything inside the airport is going to be super expensive. And then don't forget about the activities. One of my biggest mistakes was when I was traveling to Japan and the first time I went overboard. I want to do so many things because I didn't think I'd go back again. Mental note, you can always go back. Okay? Other note, just take note of the season. Some things are cheaper when they're off season. That's just it. That's just it. Something that's dear to my heart, and I just don't want anyone else to make the same mistakes that I did. So if let's say you're traveling short term, long term, if you have some special medications you need, just bring it, okay? Just make sure you have enough for that trip. It's a no-brainer because in some countries, some medications are not even available, okay? I went to Nepal, I could only find one antihistamine. It wasn't even the one I used. It was the closest thing, but I needed it. Plan ahead of time. Make sure you bring your own medicine, okay? But do take note, there are some countries where medicine is actually even cheaper. So I was in India and I was hands down surprised that they had medication that was so hard to find in the Philippines. It really was, and it was 100 times cheaper. Even though you want to go on a budget, just make sure you have some fail safe, fallback when it comes to these things because you don't want to be caught in a situation where you actually need money. Let's be real. I wanted to use my credit card. Credit card was registered to a Philippine number to get the one-time PIN. The problem was it was registered to my Philippine number, which I didn't have any issues with when I was traveling in India. Problem was I land here in Nepal and Globe doesn't work here. My network doesn't work here in Nepal. And I was baffled, which means I can't use my credit card because I can't get that one-time PIN, right? Yes, going back, always have a backup, okay? Budget or not. You don't want an emergency, you don't want a medical emergency, you don't want anything like that, but yeah, always come prepared. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something today. I hope it helped you, and I hope it gets you motivated to travel to wherever you want to go. Yeah? Ah, ang ingay. Namiss ko na mag-Tagalog. No, walang Pinoy dito. Walang Pinoy na kilala lahat. Napagkakawalan pa akong Nepali. Ang ingay. Hintayin natin. Tagal. If you like this video, click the like button. And if you want to get more content, please. Please. Alright, so if you like this video, please click on the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to get notifications when the next video will come out. Alright, so peace out. See you in the next video. Don't forget to comment, give me more suggestions. Yeah. Oh my god, tapos na. Okay, end video.